Welcome to the Unity Consciousness event, where we are having heart and soul-led conversations to uplift and empower our awakening. I am so happy to be here with you for day 2, and I'm Kristen Bilecki, your host, a soul embodiment guide, and so excited to share this space with you. Today we have our beautiful Shannon Parardini. Thank you for being here, Shannon. We are going to dive into DNA today. So let's open it up with our centering, grounding meditation, and then I'll introduce Shannon and we'll see what comes through our conversation. So inviting you all, if you wish to, if you're in a safe place to do so and you wish to, close your eyes and take a moment and tune into your breath. Notice your breath. Notice your inhales and your exhales. And as you're inhaling and exhaling, invite maybe a deeper inhale and a longer exhale. And as you're inhaling, inviting yourself to be here, to be right here, right now. Allowing anything from earlier today to release on your exhale, letting everything settle and ground. On your inhale, inviting yourself here to your present moment, to your body. Inviting a golden white light to flow around your body to bring cohesiveness to your energy body and your physical body. So inviting harmony and unity with your inhale into your body, into your mind, into your heart. Maybe sighing out if you wish to, feeling your feet, feeling your bum in your seat and your hands. Just become more and more present with your body, more and more present with your space. Inviting your soul, the higher self that is within you, and every particle of your being in the space and all around you, the clarity, the strength, the wisdom of yourself to be present here, and also to open with what you are here to receive and to share in this co-creative space of unity consciousness. And I'll bring in and invoke the golden ball with the crystalline diamond in the center that's going to that is holding the intentions of this event. Just welcoming a clear light to stream through to allow all the intentions to be held in a pure white light and pure alignment of the highest soul expression. We're going to ask for that light to flow down through our bodies and down through the space, all the way down through the floor and into the crystalline pure heart of Mother Earth. Just ground in through all the lands that we're upon. A ripple of love and unity consciousness to all of us individually and the collective as a whole. So that all receive the frequency of what we're creating today on any level that's available. And Shannon, in this moment, if you'd like to speak an intention into our field.
Yeah, just relaxing into the physical vessel, finding a really nice place where you feel grounded deep in this intelligent body of yours. Feel yourself click in. Take another deep breath and just feel like the resonance of the physical vessel, nice and grounded, nice and pure. And as we move forward in this conversation, just staying open and allowing the body to lead. And so I just honor all of you, and I'll pass that back to you, Kristen.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that deeper sense of embodiment and groundedness in our pure being. Thank you. So if any of you also have your intentions that you shared in the very beginning, or you have one now, you can just state it in the I am, calling in the purest sense of self to bring that into the field for us to amplify throughout this conversation and moving forward through the event. So thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Just feeling your heart. And when you're ready, opening your eyes and your heart and your mind to what we get to explore today, what we get to receive. So in this moment, I'm going to introduce Shannon. And I'm again really excited to have Shannon here again. We had an incredible conversation on one of the events in 2024. And so it's just an honor to experience the depth that she brings through here. And so, Shannon Pardini. And Shannon is a powerful vessel for evolutionary DNA intelligence, channeling intelligent light frequencies through arts of writing, singing, multidimensional energy work, hypnosis, and deep intuitive connection. Through these frequencies, Shannon facilitates the restoration of distorted DNA and helps release outdated belief systems, both personal and collective, that no longer serve our higher consciousness. So again, welcome Shannon, and thank you for holding this field for us in our collective for DNA, because I know we're going through a lot through this mass shift on our planet right now, and a lot of it is the DNA is a huge piece of that. And so, and I know a lot of us pick up on what's happening and what we're receiving, what's changing, what's shifting. But I'd love to hear from you what DNA means for you and what's new in this experience of what we're all shifting into right now.
Yeah, great question. Good opener. And thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be back with you. I love your energy.
Mm.
Um, yeah, let's talk DNA. So DNA means so many things to me, and I'm one that I like to explore what the human potential is within the physical vessel. And DNA for me is the center of that. DNA is an interface within your physical vessel to learn and understand source consciousness. Source consciousness holds a lot of information in resonance, vibration, frequency. It has macro submagnetics and micro. DNA is also, it's a matrix, well, it holds a matrix algorithm of our limited beliefs, right? That hold chemical information, that hold emotional information, that goes deeper. DNA stores all these frequencies, right? If you go deeper into the emotion and the chemical, you're going to get that micro submagnetic data where that emotion and chemical is also sound. It's right, it's vibration, it's resonance, it's color.
Mhm.
Um, so DNA is really, it's such a part of the interface of our physical vessel. I think of DNA as our software system if we were to master the physical body as a multi-dimensional computer, right? And DNA is, it can be on the biological scientific side, of how our biomechanics and how our body is working, right? And how the organs are doing life and death cycles, and, how the DNA is interpreting the cells to send messages and create life and death cycles through the limited information, right? So there's so much that DNA holds. And I like to look at it in the advanced setting of the software system. I like to master DNA through frequency of information. And so I've spent the last probably 4 to 5 years really in intricate detail of reverse engineering what DNA is and how it works through the physical vessel. And so, currently humanity is using their DNA at a very low capacity. And that low capacity, some may say 10 to 12%. And then with the body, it's going to be much less how it's using the messaging system because we're always in automatic behaviors, right? We're always catching our intellect in looping sensations, right? Always wanting to go back to what feels safe for us, where we got programmed very primal and in survival at a young age. But it didn't really start there. And so DNA to me is a mastercraft. It's like it holds so much information, and the amazing thing of how it interfaces and weaves in the physical body is that messaging system, that file cabinet that knows you at your truest resonance. It knows you in your most expanded form of everything you've ever experienced and what you truly want to be in frequency, in resonance. And through the this particular third dimensional holographic, we get to experience the algorithm of it in the matrix through the limited beliefs. The body is showing us through that matrix algorithm our own neural feedback to break out of the matrix. So, DNA is so many things to me. And first and foremost, for all of you here, it is deeply embedded in us. Like I said, it holds your most expanded information of who you truly are. And the beautiful thing is, when we learn to get in the driver's seat of these physical vessels and start interfacing with the information, whether it be the matrix chemical beliefs, emotions, right, form that holds, or whether we step into the interface of source, resonance, information, the source language that's there for us. It truly is one of the most impeccable systems that I have been able to explore. And I am truly inspired every day of what I connect to that's new within this expanded state of what our species can be beyond the human form. So I'll let you jump in, hun.
Yeah, beautiful. I appreciate that commitment, that devotion, just that feeling, that knowingness that you're here to support humanity and our human potential and who we're becoming through how we actually operate. What's the truth that is flowing through our body and creating our reality, with us, and I really appreciate you bringing in that the DNA does hold our truest potential, our truest frequency. It knows. And so we get to play with both. And I was thinking of, how like when we're in a really good meditation or in a really good space or an activation happens and we feel that, it's like, that's a space where I feel like the DNA and the whole body is like, yeah, like pumping out the the chemicals and the program and the sensation and that frequency and vibration of our truth, and so I know some of us probably know that difference. And so because you're so connected in with this, what do you share with people to support us? Because you're saying, we're in a low capacity of our DNA optimization, I guess, or use. So how do we get into an increased relationship or, a more aware relationship with our DNA?
Yeah, I think when people want to step into embodiment and ascension, um, I think there comes a time where we all feel like enough is enough, right? Enough is enough of the primal behaviors, the looping sensations, the intellectualization of our identity, right? Because it really fragments our physical body. Everything that we're thinking or the body is attuned or programmed um, on repeat, it's weighing us down, right? It's every time we're in a thought process, let's just say of a limited behavior or an automatic chemical, your body's taking in information that's already programmed within you. And so the vessel is something that I teach to master. It's a complete masterpiece to start taking offline these dense realities that humans like to create a lot of stories around who we think we are. We're always forming conclusions, right, in our everyday experience based on what's deeply subconscious and programmed in us. And sometimes we are conscious. We keep catching the loop, right? And for me, I teach in the very beginning stages to awaken and how to use the software system correctly, where you're not going outside of yourself from the innate programming and always connecting to these lower dense frequencies, right? That don't make us feel good, that create the chemical, that create the dense reality that sooner or later will create disease in form. What I do is learning to drive this physical vessel, I want people to get into the driver's seat, but that takes time. My courses from very beginning to very, very advanced is I have to attune people to start understanding resonance, to start understanding frequency, to catch their belief systems, and then in the belief systems, look at all the microdata that the body is hanging on to, right? Because everything this physical vessel is storing, and it doesn't matter if we think that, oh, I'm over that, but you're still getting chemical sensations from different types of limitation and beliefs. The vessel itself is transmitter receiver. It creates magnetics of what we're experiencing in the environment, right? And so, with all that said, I go in very deeply in as much detail as I can to get one out of the inverted way of using DNA, where we're always going outside of ourselves, keeping the looping system going, right? And it is from those stories, it is from those conclusions, right?
Mhm.
And it doesn't stop there. We get attuned very deeply into automatic behaviors in the bloodline,
Mhm.
right? And then, if you want to go deeper in the subconscious, past life is going to have carryover information in the DNA that we didn't resolve,
Yeah.
right? We don't just die and it's like, okay, free start. Woohoo. There's a lot of data that this interface of the DNA has. Now, the beautiful thing is you can go in, and let me just talk like it's a technology. You can go in and completely clean out that hard drive,
Yeah.
right? And so for me, I have to teach someone, it's like riding a bike. I have to give them tools
Mhm.
as training wheels
Mhm.
to learn how to use the vessel in an abstract way until the body can become.
Mhm.
And so it's like I said, I do it in blocks of 6 weeks in different lecture series because I have to hold people in unified fields and the
Uh-huh.
tools till the neural pathways will start shifting and breaking up old patterns, right?
Yeah.
And then within these teachings, I really have to hold the space that it's safe to let go of our stories. The human is so primal. It
Yeah.
wants to stay in survival on a very subconscious level.
Mhm.
And so it gets really raw in the beginning when you want to start mastering this physical body. But it's one of the most rewarding sovereign structures when you're so plugged in just to pure frequency and the DNA is you're experiencing your timelines through that. So
Yeah.
I'll let you jump in with
Oh, this is fantastic because this is the journey of embodiment, and I feel that too. Once we really want to be and what we call our true frequency, our essence, really understanding ourself, it is unwinding all of those thought patterns, behavior patterns, and how powerful that is when we get to directly consciously connect in with the part of it that's wired with those things. And I noticed that when I shift something, when I'm very aware of a loop pattern in my life, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And I start to really consciously connect with it. I really literally feel like it's an unwinding. It's like, oh, like the coding is changing and something new is something new is coming in, and like I'll feel like an unwinding, and then I'll just feel it go deeper and deeper, and really notice the different subtleties that are happening. And it takes, like you said, that the time to get into that space where everything starts to shift into a new operating system. I think that's where people tend to, have the most oscillation and challenge because it's like, oh, but I'm still doing it. Oh, now all this grief is coming up, or now all this anger is coming up, or now, all these things are showing up. And this is the work that we're doing, or the attention that we're giving ourselves to be in our greatest human potential. And it's some deep work. So curious about when you were saying, you know, this, the weighing down, and it makes sense, these programs getting embedded, right? Like really deeply embedded, and it feels heavy, it feels heavy to us when we enter them. And using the body in an abstract way to do that. Can you explore that a little more, what you mean by using the body in an abstract way?
hmm Yeah, let me step back a little bit to where you were
Uh-huh.
talking about the dense
Uh-huh.
reality, right, that we feel. So when we're using DNA inverted, when we're using it to go outside of ourselves, right, the human species thinks it's separate. So it's always looking outside of itself for information, for any type of identity for us to feel or be anything. And that's not what we are. And the reason that we do that is because we have programming in our body, which, right, it didn't start here. You have a lot of programming in this lifetime, but then, I trace about 3 generations of bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, there's that carryover, right, from past life stuff.
Yeah.
But going back into this space here is truly tapping in the matrix waveforms that we're calculating through the DNA, and that's the programming, right?
Yeah.
That's the loop. Every time we're going outside of ourselves, we're pulling in time-space form, right?
That makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So think about, say, if
Oh,
I'm
great.
always been coding, up until my 40s, I'm not good enough or not worthy, right? That's going to hold a lot of timelines, time, space, form, because say if I got programmed into that at 4 years old, right? Because, I kind of see my mom or dad as, they're holding that belief system not worthy and they're playing it out with each other. And then I'm attuned to it. And then, I'm kind of treated that way in the youth. And at school, I have learning disabilities, right? Because the brain is coding that way and so forth. So think about it like in my 40s, say I'm still carrying that belief system. That's a lot of different timelines because I'm acting that out at work, right? In current day, I'd be acting it out at work. I'd be bringing that belief system into my relationships, right? There would be all types of, if that code is so strong and dense in my body, it's a magnetic and it's going to create the environment timeline, right? Because it's going to be really dominant. And so when you've overcoded something, right, to the point where it's form, you're creating a push of like this invisible field of information that shoots out and creates your reality.
Yeah.
You following?
Yep.
So in the inverted DNA, every time it's coding, it's bringing in time space form. Okay. But source consciousness is not that. And we are source. We are innate source. Nothing is outside of us. We in this physical vessel are,
Mhm.
it's, what we are is so incredible to me. And when you're plugged into that source frequency, meaning pure resonance, you can be in a belief, but there's no duality. There's no expending of energies. There's no time, space, and form within it. That's what source consciousness is. Our innate source is so intelligent, so aware. It's not of space,
Mhm.
time, or form,
Mhm.
but it can only be cultivated inside of us.
Yeah.
And we have this beautiful language of resonance, and it is highly intelligent, and it works through transcription of living elements within the body.
Hmm.
And source language isn't just one consciousness.
Right.
It's it goes higher and higher in intelligence where you can transform the whole physical vessel into something other than what we're seeing in form. Is that answer the question a little
Yeah,
bit?
absolutely. I wanted to go into that because, when I'm working with groups and mentorships and sessions too, it's like we got to go here. There's, everything that you need and everything that you are is right here. Let's go deep in here to explore, right? To explore and understand and be present and have that spaciousness. Like I always see it as like we're a universe within our own system, within our own self. And there's so much information. There's so much, we don't necessarily always experience it this way, but there's so much space. And when we can free up that space, imagine what from those densities, like imagine what we could feel and experience and happen. And so I like how you explained it, and I feel that as well. And I think that's what we feel when we're in meditation or we're in a high, a different perception of reality. And I feel that when we're really trusting too. When we're really trusting of our intuition or our path and we're just open to what's present, then everything opens up. And I feel like we shift out of time, space, form, and we're just open to the greater expanse of our experience in life.
Yeah, beautifully said. That's embodiment. Embodiment is becoming intelligent through unified fields that the body can finally transcribe and actually allow you to have a timeline through the
Mm,
environment, right?
yeah.
It's one of those things that you have to code it enough where it's been coded enough where you can push through and your body integrates and you'll have that experience,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And so that takes time. It's, with our physical vessels, going back to that density that we talked about of how we're holding so much information, we like to take all of it personally, and what I realized too with all the work that I do is I'm going to say about 99% of the people have a belief system of fear of being in the vessel, right? Because we're in this third holographic reality where the what we're seeing in the separation is we're always supposed to be fluctuating, right? We're always supposed to be outside of ourselves. And that's absolutely not what we are. And so when you want to get into the driver's seat and learn the interface of the DNA, it's solely through the vessel and it will change your whole experience. And as you're doing that, you're going in and reprogramming a lot of the limitation and the density when you're learning to hold these unified fields, right? It's like when we go into the metadata or, the real micro details of belief systems of the chemical, right? And just feel it in resonance of what it's holding in the vessel. And again, that can be really scary for people going in and just, we've been so programmed to push the resonance away and keep coding upon it to bring more dense reality, right? But again, going to this vessel, it's the vessel already knows it wants to be a unified field. The vessel knows we're innate source. I think we do have this innate idea that we're source, but we really like to push it away too, because it's a big belief system. To not trust source, right? It's the deeper belief system is, with the separation with God and religion, right? Because all that is built on a lot of belief systems of polarity and duality and story and form conclusion and so forth. But, you know, these vessels are so pure and they don't want to be any of that. It really, it's like when you get inside and you interface with your own source language and you trust that it's okay to be plugged in to the resonance and and have this intimate connection and start feeling the truth of what feeling home is in the body, what feeling grounded is, what feeling nourished. Those are baseline um, 0 point source frequencies that are innately ours, and our body's always trying to get us to that space of connection of the unified field. Every chemical signal that the body sends, it's saying to us, hey, you just went outside of yourself and you're creating stories. You just went outside of yourself and hooked into the loop of programming,
Hmm.
But again, we want to take that chemical so personally, right? But our body's just, it's smart. It's like, hey, get back in your lane.
Yeah.
It wants to do the neurofeedback and
Hmm.
self-regulate. So it's just to me, the vessel itself is that's where the self-mastery is
Hmm.
connecting back into this beautiful language. And, you know, source may be a word that kind of bugs people too, but I don't know what to call it at this point. But what I do know about this intelligent frequency is it doesn't hold time, space, form.
Hmm.
And when you learn to drive the vessel in this language that is innately ours, the most sovereign freedom of your experience in timeline and environments gets co-created.
Ah, yes, yes, yes. Well, well said. I love that. And I feel that as well. And I'm also noticing, I think the more aware we get, the more we can recognize in real time. Oh, right. That's the feedback that's happening. Oh, okay. I need to adjust, right? What am I thinking? What am I feeling right now? What's going on? And, I feel like sharing a personal experience that's like happened to me that's kind of playing on this, just to like, give it a real world experience. So uh I was just driving a car that I've had since 2011. It was time. It was like time to be done with it. I just, got a new one and like a few days into it, I hit something on the road. I have to get a new tire, get my tire fixed, right? I take it in someplace yesterday, and this week is really full. Like it's just nonstop with things. And I was like, okay, universe, thank you for adding one more, one more thing into my time, right? In my space. And I had to sit back and be like, okay, wow, I need to breathe into this experience and expand into what's here and open myself to non-time, space, and form to then go, there's plenty of space. Where does it fit in? I just want it to groove in, like show me. And so I did. So I spent an hour yesterday and they couldn't find anything wrong with the tire. So I'm like, oh, that was interesting. So there was like this block of time, right? That nothing was taken care of. So I took it in this morning to another place. They figured it out, but they're like, yeah, it's by the sidewall. You need a new tire. So I'm like, okay. And they didn't have one. So I'm like, okay, here we are. Here's 2 hours in, right, to this experience. So that's going to be another hour to take it to a place where I can get my new tire. Right. So I was sitting here earlier and then, just going, okay, where, when, and how, just show me where, when, and how. And I was like, okay, great. I can go here, drop it off when my son's in class and this evening, and it's close to it's close to all of that and how it works. And it's more money than if I did it over here, but it's in flow of my life. It's in flow of my life. Who cares about the money right now? I want to be in flow of the pattern of life, right? And so when I did that, instead of thinking about the money and thinking about, all the time and stuff, I just kept stepping, what I feel I step into, the greater expanse of myself and my body and my space to then allow everything to just unravel and not get tense around the time and all of this energy that's going into this and be like, okay. And I felt like it was an opportunity. And that's what I looked at it as an opportunity. How much can I stay calm and grounded and in the flow with this happening while all these other things are taking place that I really thought I was at before going to be putting my time and energy into, right? And so I feel like when we can do that, like when you're talking about mastery, it's like, oh, okay, life just opens up. Our system knows, like you say, our source is here. Source, we are source. Source just provides, right? Yeah.
Well, I love your story because there's so much there in magnetics of what's being coded. And when you finally surrendered, because innately you have a home resonance in your physical body that I assume you're highly connected to, and you know the field when you drop in.
Yeah.
And so when you get to that place, right,
Hmm.
you bend time.
Yeah.
You're just in no time, no space. And so you gotta laugh, it's because I know you have a full schedule with the event, and I can only imagine how much you've organized and planned. Are you someone that likes to have a million things going on at one time, or is this just a rare event?
It seems to happen that way. I'll have times of open space and there's less going on, and then I get all this guidance to do things, and for whatever reason, it seems to all happen in a overlapping experience. And so I tend to do okay in both spaces. But this portion of it tends to be there's a lot of overlapping of experiences in this one.
It's fun to hear because we're getting to hear Kristen's programming and reprogramming, and how you're aware of it, and then how you get to a place where you plug into a unified field, and then the environment opens up, meaning you'll bend time, you'll have just enough time, right, to make
Exactly.
certain things. But at the end of the day, you have an opportunity through all of this where, when the tire and going to the mechanics and to just check into the resonance your body was communicating, right? And
Yeah.
not taking it personally, but just allowing yourself to tap into the vessel and just kind of see where the overlay is patterning.
Yeah.
Right, because wherever that little overlay is patterning and chemical, you have an opportunity to go in to that particular space that's been coding, right? That's creating
Yeah.
the magnetics, and really go in and break it up,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great way to look at it because I was curious of like, why would I create this during this experience? Why would that, what would be that? And then it was just like, I feel like it was because it was an opportunity to not go into anxiety or stress or, overthink, like over intellectualizing, like you said. And I think that's so key. And look at it as an abstract thing. It's like, oh, okay, these things are happening. I'm here. I'm just going to step into it. And, it's happening. There's nothing I can do about it at this point, but take care of it. So if I'm taking care of it, I want to take care of me while it's being taken care of too. And being stressed or feeling like there's something else that I wish I was doing other than that, then that would just, like create the density, in me. And that's how I used to be, and that's not who I want to be. So like you're saying, that's the reprogramming.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what's nice to hear too, though, is you're doing it with gentle awareness. There's no part of you that's being hard on yourself. You're pretty clear, as to you're like, oh, okay, I'm seeing some sort of pattern. But what I'm tapping into as you're speaking about it, and of course we're having the conversation, is the evolution of what embodiment really is.
Yeah.
And we're getting to hear your own neural, how you're programming and doing your own neurofeedback. But at the end of the day, it's like you can go direct in this submagnetic of the resonance and start catching it on a deeper level
Mhm.
and allowing yourself to break up the frequency so you can get more into a place where your trajectory is just really nice and smooth.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to what you said. You said trust has a lot to do with this. Uh, it's impeccable and profound trust.
Mhm.
The vessel, the human is just creation. We're just creation. We create everything. No one's creating anything for us. Whatever you've coded your body, it's going to display the magnetics in a holographic reality,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so this is the beautiful piece is we get to go in and actually learn what our species is, right? And I think it's far more than this human. It's this vessel is so advanced, and I think when if we got to a point where we were interfacing, where we were just at a 0 point and higher, meaning just in this these unified fields in the body that it already holds of no space, no time, which to me is source, this whole reality would look completely different. And I don't think it would be a form holographic. It
Yeah.
would be very much pure in resonance and frequency. And so when you're purifying the physical vessel and you start taking yourself out of when you start learning how to use DNA correctly and you're able to go more to the purity of resonance as your go-to, your whole environment changes.
Yeah.
Everything changes. And so, on a mastery level of where I'm working at now, because I understand DNA so well, I'm teaching this light body 3 very advanced, but we're able now to go in and understand how environment gets created and
Mm.
and how to actually create that, right? I didn't step into that for a long time. I wanted to master the vessel and understand, what is this first, right? And again, the vessel's creating everything we're experiencing. Nothing is outside of ourselves,
Mm.
right? And so going back to source's language is it's very intimate inside your body. And that going back to trust, there's you gotta have when you want to go through the ascension and the embodiment process and really start to master what it means to be, becoming, knowing, pure. Um, that there's all there is trust because
Yeah.
each and every one of us is only going to know the resonance that we hold and each expanded state of consciousness that we hold. It's not just consciousness. Consciousness is not black or white. Consciousness turns into intelligence, and then it's a new consciousness, then intelligence, then a new consciousness, and it can keep going. And so the trust is in the intimate experience of redefining what these physical bodies are, getting out of the third dimensional holograph of how the DNA codes in all the life death cycles, right? And then reorganize, get to the other side of how you're driving the vessel where you can really just tap into those 0 point unified frequencies that are inside of us
Mm.
and then allow the masterpiece to show, because that's where it takes the vehicle, the physical body has to come to a point where it's understood your coding of your intimate resonance. And
Mm-hmm.
when they start working together, they start transcribing together. And then that's when they push out the next holographic reality of your experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so trust in having accountability in taking leadership of your body and not taking things personally outside of ourselves of how others are co-creating. Because again, consciousness, you could never know a person's consciousness. That when you realize how much has been coded in their DNA, whether it's of limited beliefs or of pure frequency, there's so much macro and micro data. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and so, it's like it's like, again, the human intellectualizes everything and takes things personally, but there's no reason to. None of us can fully know each other, right? But we can at source. You can when you're coded in that purity because you're no longer in polarity and duality. You can have a really pure reflection and you can um, be at ease where people are in their consciousness. It's not a big deal. Everyone has to go through different embodiment stages, and it's not one embodiment stage. You go through several depending on where your consciousness is and where you integrate and where that becomes becoming in the vehicle, right? Where it can start expressing through unified fields or your innate source. So
Yeah.
I hope that brings some type of clarity. I know that can be abstract.
No, it's fantastic. And I feel that as well. And I watch that as well of not taking things personally. Because there's so, like you said, there's so many different levels of information or experiences that we're each having in each moment. One word can trigger a whole, cascade of chemicals or thoughts or feelings, you know,
Waterfall.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and so when someone, when you're interfacing with somebody else and they're having their own experience, and maybe we don't even know, a tenth of what's actually happening in our system as, our subconscious and our DNA are, reacting and responding to these different environmental things. It's like, why take it personally? Because I feel that that's where that self-nourishment and even compassion and all of that comes in to be like, wow, look at what goes on in me in maybe a minute of time sometimes in life. Like, let's be supportive that other people are experiencing that too. And when we interface, sometimes there's, we're in a relationship, and that's why I like to stand back and go, okay, wait, I'm feeling this in my system. How do I really want to be in relationship with myself in this as well as the other person, so that, as you were saying, we can create an environment that's allowing for hopefully some sort of uh, energetic connection or frequency that is supporting whatever's happening for both of us in the highest sense of who we are, or even the plant in this room, or the walls, my home. Like, what are my walls coated with? I even think about that. And I actually when I clear my home, I'm like wanting to go into the particles of the wood and the cracks in between everything and be like, clear all the energy here, and make it at a frequency that supports what's here now. Yeah.
Well, I like that you say that because that's still kind of going outside of yourself, and really it
Yeah.
all that gets recoded in the vessel. So
That's
you
true.
don't even have to go,
Yeah.
you don't, again, nothing's outside of ourselves. So
Right.
when your body's so dialed in,
Mm-hmm.
um, that is your experience. And when the physical vessel has integrated enough, these higher fields that are your new language, right? The matrix, you've learned to take the matrix, all that information offline,
Mm-hmm.
and you're using more of the source, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, like home resonance or something. There's no polarity and duality in that,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you're truly in a source frequency, which feels like a flow state, you're
Yes.
plugged in, right? But when your body, because the vessel has to integrate it too, you
Mm-hmm.
have to keep holding it enough where it's like, okay, game on, let's live this way. This is our language. This is how we're going to express ourselves from these unified fields. Then the body clicks in because it understands it. But you've also coded something enough where it can finally push through and you can have a timeline experience in the environment. And, this vessel is multidimensional, but when it's so cleaned up, you know, whatever is here is what you're going to experience out there in
Yes.
that purity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
what's nice, I always call like the people, the
Yeah.
actors, people, places, and things, right?
Yeah.
Because the people that are showing up in our current timelines is what got coded in.
Yeah.
So whatever we're currently experiencing is from what our body's magnetics are holding in resonance. And so it shoots out that timeline of experience. But, when you're going in to recode and you start dissolving some of these limited beliefs and automatic, behaviors that you've been doing over time and space, once that gets dissolved, you can't co-create that anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And
Mm-hmm.
so again, our existence is so multidimensional and so pure if you want it to be. And it's all the inner workings of this technology, this physical technology with the interface of DNA. And for me, it's still hard sometimes to say DNA because it feels very 3D to me at this point. I think it's something so much more that the
Yeah.
interface is.
Yeah.
But this is a part of the embodiment, that you get to, and then you push to the next. And when you play in these fields of intelligence, you're always shown. You're always shown. It's like, humans always want to look for everything and
Yeah.
think that they know, and
Hmm.
it's just not true. It's just creating this third dimensional holographic of polarity and duality. But when you really allow yourself, that trust, that resonance to be in the body and to, have impeccable relationship with source, the information just opens wide up. And
Hmm.
and everything in your timeline and experience is going to be way better than you would have ever thought,
Yeah.
right? Because you're not forcing anything. You're just allowing this creation of yourself to be plugged in. And then you're really having these expanded states in timelines that are no time, no space. They're pure,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And then the new actors, people, places, and things show up,
Yeah.
right? And they're in that awareness and that intelligence. And in that space of co-creation, you can also, you'll have the actors that are dense and all, but it doesn't bother you anymore.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
It's just you see where their stories are, their form conclusions, where they are in their embodiment process, and fabulous, right? Because
Yeah.
we're all doing the work in some form or another.
Yeah, yeah. I love watching things change like that. I love saying, oh, wow, look how that shifted, and this is happening now compared to the way it was before. And it's like, it's just a refreshing observation, of life. And so I appreciate that. I really like the words you're using, that impeccable relationship with source and how it opens up everything. And it's a beautiful way to kind of drop into that frequency and allow that. And so, I just wanted to take a moment here because I realized I didn't ask you what your timing is like today, because I wanted to ask one more question and then maybe take questions. Do you have the time and space for
Yeah,
that?
yeah, go for
Okay,
it.
good. Okay, great. So, just so we can all have a real-time understanding of how to do this, because earlier you were saying, with my experience with the tire, right? So, what was really funny about that, like, was the instant feedback. I was at my friend's house getting some structural cranial work done that she does, amazing, amazing body work. And we both drive a lot. So we were talking about tires. And it was on the way home from her place that this piece of wood got kicked out in the road that I hit that eventually, did that to my tire, right? And it was just like, okay, here's instant feedback, right, of the conversation. And so to and then you were saying, when I'm at the mechanics, whatever, I can go in and break up that program. So how would one do that if anyone else is listening here and they're like, oh, I have this, situation, like how are we actually breaking up that program?
Yeah, let's see if we can do a little process. Can we
Okay.
open it up a little bit and let's just let's ask our crew here, give me in one or two words what you guys are currently dealing with in the loop or limited beliefs.
Yeah.
And let me just hear a few and then I'll walk us through a process.
Yeah, let's put it in chat if anyone wants to put that in chat. Doubt,
Okay, what else?
heightened stress response, eating for comfort, continuous unwellness, money.
Give me a couple more.
Okay. Who's out there? Share with us your denser limited judgment, money and debt. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Chronic pain not going away.
Okay. So everyone here is quite aware of any looping sensations or chemicals that your body produces pretty regularly, right? Give me a thumbs up if you guys are tapped into your body and you kind of see its primal behaviors.
Yeah, we got a
Okay.
thumbs up.
So what we're going to do is why don't we just everything that's just said in the chat, let's call it survival. Okay. And so we're going to just go in and do a little process. Are you okay with that, Kristen? Where we just dip in?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So you guys can go ahead and just close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes and we'll just get into a vibrational field, a 0 point. And as you're closing your eyes, I just want you to take a nice deep breath, relaxing. Let the nervous system just attune. So meet me at the third eye entry point, and then I want you to push deeper into where the pineal is. And then just relax there. This is where the software system of the advanced human, you're right inside your software system there. Okay. And just have the awareness telepathically from here. Just feel whatever your body is doing in resonance. If it has any volume to it, you're just scanning the body, but you're just feeling into it. Okay. Good. So now that we're at the focal point of your software system, where the pineal is, I want you to co-create a unified field with me. And this is how we're going to do it. I just want you to bring online, if you're visual, again, or if you're more frequency, just let a beautiful, translucent field of energy, let it just start to co-create right here. Okay, what you're doing is you're already working in DNA the correct way. You're working in resonance and frequency. And as this beautiful field, one wave, one frequency, starting right here at the pineal, let it come online. We're going to move it. We're going to direct the energy. We're going to move this field as one wave. Just let it move through the eyes. Beautiful, radiant, translucent energy. Let this field of your intelligence move through the facial structure, the jaw, the teeth, the tongue. Still one waveform. You're learning to direct energy. Keep moving this process. Allow this field of intelligence to go through the throat, cervical, nice and pure. Again, streamlining a solid unified field here. Good. And then we're going to keep moving in this awareness of source. We're going to move it down into the heart, the chest, the lungs. Okay, just take a moment here. Let the field co-create. Let it become more of a solid volume of one wave. This is just creation, so it's no right or wrong way. And as we're holding this field right here at the heart, chest, lungs, just feel yourself click in to the awareness. You're intelligent here. Okay, nice and clicked into the vessel. Getting deeper into the driver's seat. Let's keep moving in this waveform of your innate source, or it's even called 0 point. Let's keep moving it down. We're going to move it deeper down the body, going into the solar plexus. Give it a moment here. Let it circulate. Let it purify, and then just let it streamline. Feel that source. It's in the vessel. It's not outside of you. It's just right here. Nice and pure, nice and grounded. Good. We're going to keep moving with it. Let's move this frequency, translucent, however you want to see this beautiful field. One wave, one frequency. We're going to keep moving it down into the hips, the pelvis, the sacrum. Let it realign you. Again, you can feel its volume. You can feel its resonance, its pureness. It already knows you. Good. And then let's move into the womb, the stomach, the microbiome there. Let it circulate. Let it purify. Good. And now that we're in another space here where the body tends to want to identify with everything, go ahead in this womb and the stomach and the microbiome, all the organs there. Just create a little etheric anchor and click yourself in. Click yourself into the driver's seat. Now streamline that field that we're moving from the pineal all the way down to the stomach here, the organs. Feel that one wave of radiance. You just took your body into no time, no space. Good. And just so we get the whole body online, let's just scan. Let this field, 0 point, let it move. Direct it down the legs, thighs, quads. Direct it into the knees, front, back. Going right into the calves, fully clicked into that vehicle, right to the feet. Good. Now turn it on. You have one intelligent waveform of a unified field. You're intimately connected with it in the vessel here. Okay, so meet me again right at the pineal focal point. Okay, just take a moment. Again, you're allowing your body to upgrade. It's already in a regeneration process. And then what I want you to do is move back down to the heart area. Okay, and just click in there. It's an intelligent area. You can be telepathic here. And so now that we're in a nice field of your source, home residence, I want you guys, anywhere where the body has been feeling primal or in survival, anywhere where the body is creating that loop of pain and frustration, any type of chemical, anxiety, just let it highlight right now. Wherever in the body, just let it highlight. It could be all over the body. It can be one focal point. I don't want you to make this complex. Just trust. This is where trust comes in. So wherever your body is showing this highlight, meaning you can feel the volume, the density, or maybe it's color, or however you're feeling this area that's feeling a little congested. Remember, space-time form. Okay, what I want to do is let's go into this area. And I want you to just pop it like a balloon. Okay, let the frequency diffuse. Release all those old submagnetics. Okay, just feel yourself just releasing. And if you want, if you're more vibrational, you can go to that area and just gently let it start vibrating out. Let the vessel clear out. Because your vessel knows this anchor point is not who you are. That's why it's been coding there. It's like, hey, okay, we're done with this. So let this area, let the old form of it break apart. Okay, we're going into reprogram here. So as we're clearing, cleansing, or you can just see this area, let the frequency dismantle, let it disintegrate. And your body's already holding 0 point. So as you're doing this process, you're already grounded in the recode. So just allow the old junk to dismantle. I want you to now, second stage of it is let it just come off the body. See the frequency, the waveforms, whatever you're releasing. You can just see big chunks of frequency coming off the body. Because you're basically saying here, this is absolutely not who I am. I am source. I'm not willing to keep agreeing to this same code, these same magnetics. So let them come off the body. And again, let's use our creation. See that frequency start breaking up, dissipating, and then let it just go back to source, because that's all we are. Baseline, purity, no time, no space. Good. And then let the body reorganize here. I want you to meet me right back at the pineal. Your body's holding that solid waveform of your home resonance. You can trust in the recode here. You got to give this a few days to just integrate. Good. And then when we come through, I'm just going to count down for us. So here we go. So come through when it feels good for you. But 10, 9, 8, 8, 7, 6, moving your fingers and your toes. 6, 5, 4, 4, 3, 2. Again, just getting a little bit of movement or coming through when you feel ready. No rush. 2, 1, 0. And then just feel the difference. Open your eyes in the awareness from that intelligent field, from the body. We're not in identity here. We're in the body's awareness and intelligence. So from there, if you want anyone to ask questions or
Really fantastic. That was really fantastic. Thank you. Yes, I found that really interesting because I just started having all these visuals of times in my life where things were happening with my tire, or even my windshield, because that was a pattern too. And I saw when I first had an experience with a broken window, and I saw when I first had an experience with a tire was I used to skateboard, and I was, going down this windy thing, and the bearings came out of my wheel, and I had it was just like, oh, right, it's just like it was just showing me all these places where I had stored this idea of, these things, and it was all unraveled, and I feel really beautiful. Thank you. So,
Let
uh,
me let me say something to that actually.
yeah.
That's really great that another thing that I didn't do in the process, but was happening for you is we hold a lot of picture portraits. Like there's a lot of information, right, in the body that's micro data,
Uh-huh.
but you can also allow the Polaroid pictures that
Yeah.
are still in the body, let them come up, see the picture for the last time, and then dissolve it.
Yes.
Right? Because that is recoding the internal system.
Yeah.
And so there's different ways to play in that. But yeah, if for example, if Kristen, if that was trauma point of survival, which I'm not saying it is, but say that was like, if she fell off the skateboard and lost the wheels or whatever, at a young age, that's going to imprint and it's going to play out, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
would be the magnetics.
Absolutely. And what was really interesting is that I always assigned that experience to my mom not letting me skateboard because injuries happen when you skateboard, and I was just a rough and tough tomboy, so I was like ollieing over this and going on curbs and down this and up that, and I came home with my scrapes from falling skidding down the road from my wheel going off, and she's like, that's it, that you're done, and I'm like, no, like even me getting hurt, I love skateboarding, I want to keep doing it. So that was that, attributing to that and not being smooth, or if things are smooth, then there's punishment.
Right. That's a loss of sovereignty, right? Like I could
Yeah,
feel the resonance as you were speaking
yeah,
about that. My body was shifting in all different types of temperatures. And so I can see actually how deep the belief systems here are, right?
yep,
And so it's always amazing. One belief holds so much information that it's
yeah.
just like that's why I have a lecture series that's called The Four Agreements, and one of the agreements is you can't take your emotions and chemical personally,
Yeah,
because why would we at this point? It's like
yeah, yeah. Beautiful. I
oh,
really appreciate that this opportunity to have that. So and other people are too. Anne says, amazing. I've been skirting around these concepts, but that was a great visualization to use. Thank you. Gabriella, thank you. Barbara, this was awesome. This morning I was just feeling off kilter. This has totally removed the junk that was in there that was causing it. Wonderful, Barbara. Yeah. So we have a few questions in here. I'm going to start at the top. Uh, Whitney, you brought in a question. How will the DNA change as we change? Is it epigenetic?
um I don't think of the DNA as epigenetic. I think the epigenetics are part of like antennas that look for, I think they work inverted. To me, the epigenetics are a third dimensional holograph, part of the human system and organ, where they're always looking for programming information. Right. But how will the DNA change? I'm already co-creating beyond DNA. And so what I can tell you is we have full control of the environment and what we're experiencing. And so when you get into this place in the vessel where you're really streaming more at a coherence of unified fields where the vessel itself has really intelligent technology. When that technology is transcribing these frequencies, your it's it's hard to explain, but your magnetism of what you're creating is coming from that place of who you already are in that expansive state.
Mhm.
And I don't really know what to call that, but I just think of that right now as a file that we're unlocking in the DNA until you get there. But once you're there and you can transcribe it, um, there is no space and time. You are fully living in frequency.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the way I look at it, when I'm interfacing with the world, to me, each day I open my eyes is this empty palette, right? And then through whatever I choose is how I experience my day. And my life has become so rich
Mhm.
because I'm just experiencing it from inside the vehicle. There's not one part of me that is out of this vehicle.
Mhm. Mhm.
So what I think when we can get past the third dimensional holographic, what's there is the most pristine language of what sovereignty is, even though that's even kind of a word that's not so pure.
Mhm.
But there's just this freedom to be the greatest expansive creation of who you already are. So the becoming. Beyond DNA is the becoming of what we truly are.
Yes, yes. Well, it was really fascinating. Thank you for sharing that because I was shown some years ago that eventually our systems aren't going to have DNA anymore. We're so into vibration and frequency that nothing has to be coded, if that makes sense.
100%. Yeah, when a
Yeah.
person finally gets out of duality and polarity,
Mhm.
right? Which means taking out all the universal laws and all the stuff. The thing is that we're currently so influenced by so many submagnetics that it takes a long time to get to that point where you're taking down the microdata and fully just, right?
Yes. So I feel like that is partially answering a couple of these questions here. Kazan is asking, will we see, feel the crystalline upgrades to our DNA that we keep hearing about?
It's still identity, so I can't get into any of that.
Mm,
We're so much more. So I don't, I, to me, if we want to know the full expression of what we are, we're not going to know until we sit in it and become. And to me, I don't
mhm.
believe in all this stuff that's put out there.
Yeah, I really appreciate that because I kind of use that language, but it's also more of what you're doing. Let's go inside and let's do, let's get
Yeah, let's prove it.
embodied. And
I'm not one to
yeah.
sit in any details of stories or identification or what people
Yeah.
are coming up with because they're speaking from their programming, and I would rather just be in the using the technical side of the body that really is living. Like we have living highly intelligent when you start moving in with the protons, the electrons, the ions, and you have a relationship, where was 0 point H3O2. Like there's so many different areas to go in and work and transcribe with the body. I don't see the realities that are, being spoken of,
Mhm.
for me, I would rather just play in what the body has to show me in mastery. And I'm self-realized in it, it's one of those things. And that's why I teach very, very advanced classes because with the students, they support me in the information of that I'm on the right track.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we all have what I appreciate you saying is like you're staying in your lane, right? Like me, I get shown all these things and I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do with them? But I also know that I can't be in it unless I'm embodied in it. And so that's what I work in is embodying it and then going, okay, it's time to share this information or whatever it is because I can experience it myself. I'm not just, so it's like this graduation, process of experience, receiving, understanding. But I also, when I read that question, what Anne said, Katie, I'm going to get to your question. I think it's a great question. But when Anne said that, it still feels like there's that seeking outside. When will we see this? Right? It's like really no, when is it that you will be in a place with your own, just I think what Shannon's sharing of your own experience and connecting to your own body's intelligence and doing this exploration and this connection and source and connecting with source enough that you do just start to shift and change because that's what you're creating. It's not something that's like happening
That's
to
that's
us.
the ascension, and the ascension
Yeah.
has different phases, and it's all through embodiment of fields of intelligence.
Hmm.
And so these are all great questions, and I kind of wanted to dial back a
Hmm.
little bit, um, because of where I'm speaking from in DNA. It's I have a really good grasp on DNA at this point and
Hmm.
what it is and how it works and how we create, the inner holograph and the outer. But going back to where people are speaking from and the galactics and the what is it, the crystalline and the that's not for me, but what I will say about it is there's nothing wrong with going to those places because that's part of the matrix and it's part of us and what we've experienced. And when you can go to those consciousness and learn something from it and then integrate, you will get to a point of moving in your ascension where you don't need them anymore. So I do want to go to that space that, all these different teachers out there, wherever they're teaching from, there is something to learn and integrate and dissolve of the matrix. But when you really want to master this vessel, you completely are no longer in time, space, form. You're completely out of identification and you're working through resonance and not even necessarily frequency. There's a lot of information, in these very unified field, and your body goes through its own thermal dynamics to transcribe these frequencies, and that is where I'm at, and there's a lot of detail of what it
Yeah.
shoots out in a timeline. And it's not a timeline anymore. It's just
Yeah.
like your body is the orbital system of the electrons. They're not expending, they're part of the process, and it's like you're pulled in trajectory.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate that because that's what I experience and feel as well. Like I had that experience and I've shared this story before when I was, receiving a lot of information and connecting a lot with different forms of beings. And I still do, but it's more on like a level of listening to the information, as you were saying earlier on, listening to the information of what's being, I guess, coalesced in the unified field from our elements and from everything to understand the body. It's more of like information to support us getting embodied and understanding how all of these relationships are happening. But I had that experience when I was in this more individual aided state with these beings, and it was like all of a sudden it was like, nope, there's a unified field now. We're not coming through. You are this, it is this. There's no separation anymore. Just bring the information through. You are the information, and so that was like in 2019. So it was like, oh, okay, great, thank you. And okay, and so it was a really beautiful process of understanding how these processes work. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, right? Consciousness isn't black or white, it's ever evolving. And so you
Yeah.
just spoke about it. It's like a stairway, right? It's like you climb up the next stairs of what you learned and it no longer applies,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
right?
Indeed.
So it's
Yeah.
there's just so much to explore. My whole goal with this, which I think I probably make people laugh a lot, but I don't want to reincarnate ever again. And so for me,
Laughter.
I'm done with the matrix.
Yeah.
It's boring at this point, right? But the
Yeah.
expansive side I can get behind all day long. And, that's what keeps me going is interpreting the language of resonance,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Where that's where I want to play in my
Yes.
next go around.
Me too. Yeah, me too. That's where I'm at too. So I want to take one more question with Katie. Katie says, can you explain again or touch on why we sometimes have to recode things multiple times? I think that's where I can sometimes question why I have to keep clearing or dissolving the energy in a certain area multiple times.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, right, because that is a it's part of a matrix algorithm. And so when you have a limited belief, it's especially a very dense one, right? It didn't necessarily start here. It's like one limited belief is reoccurring in this particular lifetime, then it got attuned through three generations of bloodline and then carry over in past life, there's a lot to decode there, but by you going into your body and, finding that little overlay or where the resonance is kind of patterning, um, all you're doing is just saying, I don't agree to this anymore. I know I'm going outside of myself. My body's looking automatically for separation. And so when you, just like neural pathways, right? It takes like 3 to 4 months to rewire a neural pathway. And so when you keep catching yourself and you're not taking it personally and you're just like, oh, there it is. You have humor about it. There it is again. Even you catching that, you're breaking it up because the reason why this stuff patterns so much is because we've continued to agree to it for so long. And now you're just going to that density and being like, this isn't who I am. I'm source because you guys are source. And that's where I'm coming from with the trust is you have this powerful dormant frequencies that are inside your body that are always trying to clue you back in, right? All the pain, all the density that are shooting signals. And like I said, I don't care what signal it's shooting. It's just saying, hey, get back in your lane,
Yeah.
meaning just get to a pure field. Even the body knows it's not what it is. So that's what's so cool to me with this whole experience is the physical vessel is the mastery and it already knows what it is with the interface of source, I'm going to say.
Beautiful. Absolutely. We are source. Thank you. I think that's a great place to to to
To wrap.
conclude with, to wrap it up. Yeah, we are source, plain and simple, right?
I like it. Trust source and just be impeccable with these
Mhm.
bodies and give it just gentle awareness to allow where it speaks from, and then you get to decide whether you want to agree with where it's speaking from, right?
Absolutely. That's the mindfulness process. I like being in that space too. Constantly always in awareness and like, oh, that voice. Oh, hi. Okay.
Exactly.
Thanks. And source that loves cacao. Yeah, me too. We love our cacao. Yeah, I just led a cacao ceremony on Sunday. It was great out on the lake. We have a beautiful lake here. Yeah, so thank you, Shannon. This was just really powerful, and I can feel the field that you hold and create and what everyone was able to experience through your consciousness, through your words, through your field. So, and appreciate you leading us through that. That was very enlightening for me.
Likewise, I love chatting with you. And like I said, it seems like it was just yesterday we had our conversation, but I appreciate you. You hold such a beautiful space where I can actually, share what I actually want to say. So appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And I know you have a free gift for us as well. So you're getting lots of love in the comments here, thank yous and all of that. So, uh, uh, what free gift are you sharing with us today?
That one, I'm trying to remember which one
I
that is, but you guys can go in.
it's
I think
in,
it's a little taste of an older clearing or how to hold a field. I forget what the frequency it is,
I can
but
share with you. Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
fresh starts and new beginnings.
There you go. There you go. Tap into a little bit of your source awareness with that one because now I'm speaking from a more profound space. And so you can take the awareness you learned today and apply it to that particular 10-minute or so of sitting in frequency.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So that will be on the replay page. It's on all the pages, but it's on the, you can scroll down to the bottom and click on the access link to connect with Shannon more. So thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate your presence. And tomorrow we get to go live again. So please be present with us tomorrow. I'm excited to be with Christabel Zamora tomorrow. So we'll be experiencing another activation through her breath of bliss. And also just know that you can access these conversations by upgrading and receiving these for a lifetime. And you'll be also being invited into a discounted session with me, everyone that's listening. So I appreciate you all. Have a wonderful, blessed rest of your day being source and connected to the true blessing that you are. So again, thank you, Shannon. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you all. Love you all.
Yeah. Much
Bye.
love to you all. Have a wonderful day. Yeah. Be well.